Outside, downtown Seattle glowed with city lights, but inside her apartment, everything felt dim. She had spent years convincing herself that love wasn't meant for women like her anymore. Women with quiet wrinkles at the corners of their eyes, with stories woven into every line on their face, with hearts patched and repatched after disappointments. She told herself she was content. But deep inside, she feared something she would never dare say out loud. That maybe love had quietly passed her by. And then came the question that echoed all night long, haunting her like a whisper she couldn't silence. Why would a younger man choose someone my age? If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that arrives unexpectedly, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. The morning of the date, the Pacific breeze brushed softly through her half-open window, carrying with it a strange blend of hope and dread. She had been set up by her coworker, who insisted that the young man was genuinely interested, genuinely kind, and genuinely eager to meet her. But Margaret couldn't understand why. She was 48, already thinking about retirement savings and comfortable routines, while the idea of a younger man meeting her for coffee felt painfully unrealistic. Still, she dressed carefully, not to impress, but to feel presentable. Soft lavender blouse, neat skirt, and hair brushed in a way that made her feel calm. As she left her apartment, she reminded herself that she wasn't going there to fall in love. She was simply trying to prove that she could still show up, even when her heart felt fragile. The café was bright with clean daylight, polished glass, and quiet hums of early conversations. She arrived early, sitting at a small outdoor table. Her hands gripped the warm cup of coffee tightly, almost as though she needed its steadiness. Then he arrived. Austin Parker, 33. Tall, warm-smiling, dressed casually but neatly, with a softness in his eyes that didn't match the quick judgments she had prepared for. When he sat down across from her, she felt an unexpected pull. Gentle, safe, confusing. She apologized for possibly wasting his time, insisting she didn't understand why he agreed to meet someone her age. He didn't argue. He listened. And that startled her more than anything. As their conversation unfolded, something inside Margaret shifted. Austin didn't lean back or act distracted or look around, searching for excuses to leave. Instead, he leaned in, attentive, asking her about her life, her passions, her faith, her upbringing. She spoke cautiously at first, about her job in a nonprofit office, her love for reading, her Saturday mornings spent volunteering at a church-run food pantry. She expected him to find her life dull, predictable, unadventurous. But he seemed captivated by every detail, each moment encouraging her to let her guard down just a little more. Austin shared his own story, and she realized he wasn't some carefree young man chasing superficial excitement. His past held its own heaviness. He told her how he had lost his mother to an illness when he was only 20, how he had raised his younger sister through college by working multiple jobs, how responsibility had shaped him early, leaving him with a maturity far beyond his years. And then, gently, he admitted that younger women often made him feel unseen, misunderstood, or pressured into roles he didn't want. He preferred depth, faith, emotional steadiness, qualities he believed grew stronger with age. Margaret wasn't used to compliments, not the meaningful ones. So when he said she had a calming presence that made him feel peaceful, she didn't know what to do except look down, her heart trembling. But beneath the warm conversation, there was still a storm inside her, a fear rising slowly, like a tide she couldn't hold back. She wondered if this was just politeness, temporary charm, a misunderstanding waiting to unravel. She felt herself shrinking with insecurity again, until something unexpected happened. As she stood to leave, thinking she should end the date early before she embarrassed herself, Austin gently reached out and said he wanted her to stay. His voice softened when he said she deserved more than a life spent apologizing for her age, her past, or her worth. She froze, not because she didn't believe him, but because she had never believed anyone could mean those words. They walked together through the nearby plaza, the warm daylight casting soft shadows between them. Margaret found herself talking about things she hadn't shared in years. Her divorce, her fear of aging alone, her quiet dreams she had shelved long ago. Austin didn't flinch. Instead, he shared how he admired her strength, how he saw beauty in the resilience she carried, and how he valued the gentleness in her voice more than any youthful distraction. The more he spoke, the more she felt something she had been afraid to feel: hope. Yet the doubt didn't disappear easily. When he asked if he could see her again, she froze. She told him she wasn't sure she could handle the judgment from others, the comments, the looks, or the whispers about age differences. His response wasn't dramatic. It wasn't poetic. It was a simple truth spoken with steady sincerity. He said people always judge what they don't understand, but that he cared far more about the peace he felt when he was with her. His voice trembled slightly when he added that he didn't want to walk away from something that felt right, just because the world expected him to. Something in Margaret's chest cracked open then. Not in pain, but in release. She had lived so long guarded, so long believing she was too old for new beginnings, too weathered for romance, too late for anything tender. Yet here stood someone who didn't see her through the lens of age. He saw her soul, her kindness, her grace, her depth. They ended the afternoon sitting at the waterfront, watching the waves move with a rhythm that felt almost like healing. She didn't give him an answer right away. Instead, she let herself feel the moment. She noticed how the sunlight reflected off the water, how peaceful the air felt, and how Austin's presence beside her quieted years of inner turmoil. She realized that maybe love wasn't only for the young. Maybe love could find anyone, at any age, if they were brave enough to let it. When Austin walked her back to her car, he didn't ask again if she would see him. He simply said he hoped she would think about it. But Margaret didn't need time. She already knew her answer. As he turned to leave, she stopped him, placing a hand over his. Softly, timidly, but with a courage she hadn't felt in years, she told him she would like to see him again, not because she suddenly believed she was perfect, but because she wanted to stop running from the possibility that she, too, deserved to be chosen. And in that moment, Austin smiled with such warmth that Margaret felt the years melt from her fears, leaving behind only the promise of something beautifully unexpected.